Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I, of course, am the Brofict one, AJ. Happy Friday, September 19th, 2025. Hope you're having a great Friday and ready for a great weekend. Before I go any further, because we do have a lot to cover today, do just want to take a moment. Shout out to everyone watching here on Rumble, over on YouTube and X. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help us out a lot more than you know, but we are getting ready. We do have a lot to talk about today before we do get into the great weekend of football. And I do want to go ahead and start off more sports adjacent than anything, the sports media and how, we've been seeing a lot of these companies go through changes recently. FS1 gutting essentially their entire morning lineup, bringing in Barstool to fill some of that, expanding Colin Cowherd, etc., etc. And now, ESPN seems to be going through a lot of the same type of metamorphoses as well. Some more unseen, not done self-inflicting wounds or anything like that, but it is going to affect them in the long run. I am referring, God, I got to learn to speak today. I am referring to the fact that Molly Qerim is stepping down from her role at First Take and has officially left the company since that news did end up leaking earlier this week. So before we dive too deep into this, I do just want to say shout out to Molly Qerim. Handled being a host on that show very well. And I do appreciate the fact that, she handled it and everything, the co-host and then Stephen A would throw at her, she handled it and professionally and did it with took it on the chin like a champ. I'll even admit, watching it back when I did, some of the stuff they said, it's like, holy shit, how is that not a phone call to HR? Just saying. I mean, it's one of those things, but it's just like, why would you say that if you don't have to, or why are you even referring to that? But anyway, ESPN currently going ahead and auditioning the replacement for Molly for the next month. So I'm sure we'll see something by the end of October, early December for whoever is going to take over that First Take role. As of right now, it does appear that Stephen A is going to be taking over the majority of the roles of hosting and everything. It is essentially his show at this point. And ESPN's paying him a bag and a half. But nothing but respect for Molly Qerim. An ESPN executive did come out familiar with the deal and what's going on, that ESPN wanted to keep her. They had, a deal in place. They knew she wanted to get out of First Take in general and move on and do other things. But that was kind of the thing. She didn't really want to be a part of ESPN anymore and is deciding to go and explore new options, which can't blame her. I mean, I'm sure you'll look at FanDuel Network, you'll look at FS1, you'll look at Barstool, that there's going to be a lot of money thrown at her for her to stay in the world of sports, if she so chooses to. If she doesn't choose to, then that's a completely different conversation. I'm sure she'll be very successful in anything else she does. She's a great TV personality and knows how to command a room. So congratulations to her. Good luck on your future endeavors. And it is a bigger loss for ESPN than I think a lot of people think. And, maybe she goes on a podcast or something. I mean, what was it? The whole Skip Bayless stuff and the Joy Taylor stuff that came out earlier this year. I'm just saying, like, when that stuff was coming out, a lot of people were maybe kind of wondering, wonder if Molly's had to deal with any of this. One tweet I did see said, ESPN legal, get ready. But no, it does appear that she did step down because the news leaked. She did have full intentions to finish out the year, but with the news leaking and everything, she didn't really want to go on a, final tour or anything like that. And so farewell tour, that's what I was looking for. But she is going to go ahead and see what else is out there. So congratulations to her. But one person that's not leaving ESPN anytime soon, and is expanding his role at ESPN. That would be, man, we talked about a little bit earlier, Stephen A. Smith, as it is reported that Stephen A. Smith will be joining Monday Night Football coverage for 3 times starting this Monday. So it's going to be 3 games this season. Starting with Lions, Ravens. I had a list somewhere. But so Stephen A., if you didn't think that there was enough Stephen A. Smith with, First Take and the NBA coverage and the Stephen A. Smith show and now Monday Night Football, and of course, he launched his own, political talk show this week that he will be doing as well. And I mean, listen, love him, hate him, doesn't matter. You got to respect the man. And I've come on here and I've talked about the fact that I think, some of his takes are lazy. He doesn't really think that hard about it. He's a hot take artist, and how sports media does seem to be moving away from that hot take kind of thing. And I think that's a good thing in sports. There's still room for hot takes, and I think hot takes can still be fun, but they needed a little bit less like, no, this is absolutely what I believe, and more like, hot take, but you look at this team and the way they're playing, I wouldn't be surprised, and like more like that, instead of Colin Cowherd just coming out, full factor, Stephen A. Smith coming out full, Josh Allen is never winning a Super Bowl. He's never winning a Super Bowl. And it's like, okay, Stephen A., that's a wild statement. I mean, yeah, his postseason record's not great, but you look at the way this Bills team is humming right now. I don't know if you can be saying. Anyway, my point being, like, you got to respect the man's work ethic. You got to respect that he is trying other things and seeing what's out there. Does make Stephen A. for president seem a little bit more likely if he's, starting to get into that political sphere and get into the political talk show world. It's interesting. It's interesting for sure. I personally kind of like the Kelsey brothers and I'm oversaturated. I'm starting to get to that point even a little bit with McAfee, where it's just, all right, it's a little too much now. Like, let's back off a little bit. Let's just back off a little bit. And granted, I mean, ESPN is paying him $40 million a year, something like that. Plus he's got this deal with Sirius with the Stephen A. show and the political show now. I mean, I don't know. He's walking a fine line, though. And I think he is smart enough to know that he is walking a fine enough line. And is he good enough to continue to walk that line, with, sports and politics and everything? I mean, the Lord knows he likes to bring it up on First Take. And so I'm glad that hopefully we can leave it on that show, and not keep it bleeding into sports, which people are tired of at the end of the day. And so, I mean, it's probably going to do numbers, probably going to do really well, but it's one of those too much of a thing I'm getting sick of when there wasn't a lot of it. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens, but ESPN going through some changes, and I mean, whoever fills in Molly's shoes is going to have a really big shoes to fill, obviously, with Molly being tied to that show for damn near a decade or more than a decade. Oh, shout out to her, legend. Nothing else about her. ESPN loses another really good on-air talent, which unbelievable. And I mean, there are so many options out there now. She could go to The Athletic. She could go and do, co-host a podcast with Kay Adams or Matthew Stafford's wife if she wanted to. Like, there's so many options for her. So I'll be interested to see what she does land and end up doing. But and Stephen A. Smith, can we just pump the brakes a little bit? Just a little bit. That's all I need. Just a little pump. But yeah, that's all I got on that. I wanted to bring it up. Big stuff happening at ESPN. And in Stephen A.'s world. But shout out Stephen A. He continues to push the boundaries of how much people can take of him. But let's go ahead, move over to the hard top. And we've had a lot of news coming out of the world of the NBA, WNBA, as, every once in a while we're reminded that the WNBA playoffs are going on. Indiana Fever, I saw, are moving on. Congratulations to them. Without Sophie Cunningham, without Caitlin Clark. Aaliyah Boston hitting a game winner last night. Shout out to her. Oh, by the way, the Monday night schedule that he'll be a part of: Lions, Ravens, Cardinals, Cowboys, Eagles, Chargers. So not a lot of Stephen A on Monday Night Football, but enough of Stephen A on Monday Night Football, in my opinion. Anyway, back to the NBA. We'll get to the bad news coming out, some expansion news coming out of the NBA. The NBA is going to be starting that Euro League coming in 2028. 2028. So they're going to start getting teams together and putting it all together and keep it moving. The teams confirmed for or expected to join, the NBA Euro League is Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Fenerbahce. And I'm sure I butchered that last one. Other soccer giants, Man City, PSG, looking to join with brand new basketball teams as well. Not uncommon for these bigger soccer teams to have their club name attached to their own basketball team and other sports teams and stuff like that. So makes sense that they're going to try to cross-brand that with Real, Barcelona, two of the bigger names in soccer. I personally have never heard of Fenerbahce. I just haven't. Man City, PSG, heard of them, obviously. And so big names, the NBA Euro League. Oh, I did say it right, Road Dog? Thank you. You know how I feel about my pronunciations. It can get rough sometimes. But it's, man. It's not bad. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's something that, the NBA's been, basketball. Let's talk about it that way. Basketball as a whole has grown so much into more of a global sport. And, they talk about it, and it's very similar to soccer in the fact that you need a ball and two goals, essentially, two posts and a net. You know what I'm saying? And so it's an easier game to grow than hockey, football. Well, football is flag football now, but that's another conversation for later. But baseball, hockey, lacrosse, stuff like that, where it does cost a little bit more money to get the kids involved, get the kids interested, and it can be difficult. So I don't blame the NBA for doing this, because not only that, but it does then, it can feed as a direct feeder from the NBA Euro to NBA America, or the real NBA, whatever they're going to start calling that, or just NBA, I guess. I don't know, the NBA, like the Ohio State. But then again, I think the is trademarked by Ohio State, so we'll see if NBA can pay them enough money. Well, I doubt it, but that's a whole other conversation for later. But listen, it just, every move the NBA has been making recently, even if it doesn't seem like a harmful move, a bad move, or anything like that, it just stinks at some point. Like, something doesn't smell right. Like, I'm waiting for the shoe to fall. And maybe I've been listening to too much Pablo Torre. We'll get into the Clippers in a minute. But why? Like, I get why we're doing this, so that we can, essentially control that, kind of take FIBA out of it and have, our own home base, grow that talent. If we're going to keep getting so much talent for Europe, we might as well centralize it so they're playing our rules and everything, and maybe not outshining the American players. You never, something like that maybe, but I'm sure the European fans are very excited about it. It's more money coming into the league, which they desperately need, I would assume. I guess I'm interested. I'm interested how, if tickets are going to be more expensive. You know what I mean? Comparatively to what they're paying now for whatever leagues they're in and whatever national leagues they're in, et cetera, like, because I believe it's set up very much similar to how soccer is set up over there right now. And, now it's got the NBA name attached. Does that drive the price up a little bit of these tickets? Because now you're not watching, Real Madrid, a basketball team. You're watching NBA team Real Madrid. So, more money, more problems sometimes. And that might end up being, another harmful thing to the fans. And now you might be thinking, AJ, why do you immediately go to the fact that the NBA is going to go and screw their fans? Well, because Adam Silver spent like 45 minutes this week backwalking everything he said last week about this being a highlight league, about, we're worried about it, not really worried about ticket sales or anything like that. it feels so deaf. You know what I mean? That he really isn't in touch with the fan experience of following a team all season or anything like that. And he's looking at it as a businessman. And that is his job at the end of the day, is to grow the league and grow the bottom line for the owners of the league. That's any commissioner's job. And I think every league right now is very guilty of, putting profits first, fans second. And that's every league you look at. It's not just basketball. It's not just baseball. It's not just football. It's all of them. And, it's due to the ongoing climate. It's due to the fact that if you split up games, you can get more money because you're charging for the ability to show games and to show highlights on your sports, analyst shows and pregame shows and everything like that. Like, it's all mixed in at the detriment of, again, the fans. And, an argument could be made, and I can see this argument happening in the boardrooms when they're, because someone has to have stood up and said, well, why are we splitting up all these games to these different packages? Isn't that going to make it hard? Someone had to have said that, been there for the fans' defense. And I promise you, one of the conversations that they had there probably was, well, the NFL did it. And the NFL is the biggest thing. So if the NFL is going to make everyone buy streaming platforms, more than likely people are going to keep those streaming platforms because they're not just a fan of just the NFL. They might be a fan of their NBA team too, their city's NBA team. And so we go ahead and throw games on Peacock. We go ahead and throw games on Amazon. Go ahead and throw games on Netflix because the NFL fan already has it for the season because that's how they're going to watch every game. And NFL fans love to watch every game. And so I don't know. Everything like this just feels grimy and feels crappy. And Pablo Torre is really just you knew some shitty shit was happening in the NBA. But again, and it's been 3 weeks in a row now. And I do just want to continue to say, make your own opinions, go and listen. Because, Pablo, yes, he does, kind of lead the story in the direction that he wants to. He's a very good journalist. And he can lead you to a conclusion, but he also presents the facts and allows other people to come in and challenge, the facts and his thought process and how he did all of it. And it's great stuff. And I'm referring to the fact that Clippers are screwed. I mean, listen, we can talk about circumstantial evidence, how it's all, well, yeah, it's interesting how that all lines up, but it doesn't really mean anything. But it then just comes down to, a saying that I've been, hearing a lot lately, like I'm not smart enough for there to be this many dumb people in the room with me. And that's kind of how I feel when, Mark Cuban comes out and is trying to defend Ballmer and saying, oh, well, Steve Ballmer, he's a billionaire and yada, yada, yada. It's like, bro, it doesn't matter. Like, you're trying to make me believe that Ballmer, dumped so much money and clearly a scam. And not only that, then the scam was going underwater and he just happened to throw some more money in there that happened to be the amount that was going to cover Kawhi Leonard's stuff. Now, yes, it was the company's decision. You can make that argument. It's the company's decision how they disperse the funds. But again, come on, dude. It's like it's just like, anything else. Like, he thinks that you can, just pull the wool over everyone and be like, listen, I know everything you've heard. I know everything you've seen, but it's wrong. Okay. Don't listen to the hard evidence. It's wrong. Listen to me. I'm Mark Cuban. I've been here before, done this before. This doesn't happen in the NBA. Mark, it clearly happens in the NBA. You can put out as long of a tweet as you want any day of the week. And bro, you ain't changing it. You ain't changing anyone's mind on this. I think if you've seen the evidence and everything, if you're not a Clippers fan, you're like, yeah, this clearly is cap circumvention and they're claiming stupidity. That's their defense. No, Ballmer's just an idiot. Ballmer's an idiot. His, minority owner, Wong, is an idiot. Dennis Wong. Sorry, I had half of the name in there and it was going to bug me if I didn't get the full name. But again, you're expecting me to believe that these very successful people didn't see what was happening. And even if they did see what was happening, they decided we're just going to keep letting it happen. We're going to keep getting scammed. And then when Ballmer, let's say Ballmer did realize, so then he's going to tell his buddy to put in money instead. No, listen, You can try to spin it any which way you want to make the Clippers, look innocent or look dumb or whatever, but I don't see it. And I don't see how you can talk yourself out of a way of this. I don't see it. And we will see what the NBA investigation does come through. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a speedy one. They did hire a whole ass law firm out of New York to investigate it, and it's going to take a minute. Like, that's fine with me. And if we're left, but the issue is, let's just say they take everything Pablo Torre has found. Let's just say they just take all of it at face value. Yes, there is no smoking gun. Like, oh, here's where Ballmer told the CEO to pay him. Like, there's none of that as of right now. We'll see what Pablo Torre can find out. But there's enough of, a lot of really sketchy shit's going on. This is the obvious answer, considering there's a pattern of these type of requests being made by Uncle Dennis from Kawhi Leonard's team, his legit uncle, of going to owners and saying, listen, I want part ownership. Listen, I want off-court money. Listen, and demand. And so we have a history and a pattern. We have Ballmer already, being guilty of cap circumvention once. We have a scam company that ain't doing shit, hasn't done shit except pay Kawhi Leonard. And now you just have everyone deny. And the best part is the Clippers aren't denying the fact that they, Ballmer and the Clippers in general gave Aspiration a shit ton of money. Like, no one's arguing that fact. They're arguing the fact that it was because of Kawhi. They're claiming stupidity, which is sometimes a great defense, but again, you expect me to believe this many successful people are that dumb? I can't. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. We'll see what happens. I don't think seasons are going to get erased or this contract is going to get voided or anything. I think a couple $100 million fine, removal of draft picks, some other type of sanctions or something like that, like a removal of a supermax contract, something, but something's got to happen. Something's got to come of this, and the NBA is such in a fragile place right now, with the comments Silver has been making, with the fact that all these, you got to go to a different streaming site literally every day of the week to watch basketball. The fact that tickets are absolutely outrageous, but don't worry, their hot dogs are only $2 now. Like, the NBA just doesn't get it. Hasn't gotten it for the last couple of years and continues to not get it. So, again, we have to wait and see what'll happen with all this. But I don't know. I don't know how you can be an NBA fan. I don't know how you can follow basketball, look at this and not think, oops, someone effed up bad. I don't know how you can do it, man. I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. And now, you want to even hear some other stuff. Reports coming from inside the Clippers facility. People, they're ready. Their staff is ready. They're like, yeah, listen, we went all in with Kawhi Leonard. He hasn't played at all. And so we don't even know if this is going to be if this is going to work, would work, is going to, will work in the future. We don't know any of that. Guy can't play. And by not play, he's been medically out or been load management or whatever. And so we don't really know. And yeah, Kawhi Leonard's still that type of a player, but now with the baggage, now with all of this, I cut him loose, man. Get rid of him at the trade deadline so that you can at least worry about not voiding a contract or anything like that and move forward. Cut. If I'm Ballmer especially, that's what I want to do. I'm taking the cheapest price for Kawhi Leonard, and you can take care of it from here. We'll deal with, the other ramifications and stuff, but let's cut this off for right now. Let's cut it off for right now, and we'll see if they'll cut the cancer, but I doubt it. Moving from the hardwood to the diamond, crazy news coming out of the MLB. And one of those that, it was kind of, you thought might be coming eventually, but you just weren't sure when. And it is going to be this season as three-time NL Cy Young Award winner, 2014 NL MVP, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, he's done a lot of great stuff. Got his 3,000 strikeout this season. Clayton Kershaw has announced that he will be retiring at the end of the 2025 season. From the bottom of my heart, I have two feelings about this. One, shout out to Clayton Kershaw. Absolutely an incredible pitcher. It has been a pleasure to watch you deal over the years and have such an incredible career. My other reaction to this is I am so happy he is out of the NL West, finally. I mean... don't get me wrong. It's not like the Dodgers don't have every other arm in the MLB that could possibly throw just as good in their bullpen, and the D-backs still got to deal with that for the next bunch of years. But, okay, Clayton Kershaw's out. I can stop seeing him come into town and just beat the shit out of us. So that's nice for me. I will say a little selfish, but again, shout out to Clayton Kershaw. Unbelievable player, unbelievable guy, I bet. And his only big downfall is that he plays for the Dodgers. If that's the worst thing you got to say about a guy, that's a pretty good guy, in my opinion. So shout out to Kershaw. Let's move over to the NFL. I've got some things I want to talk about here. First off, where is it? Where is it? I know I have it somewhere. No, I don't have it. That's fine. I don't want to show it anyway. Because I'm trying to stay positive. That's the thing. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to, be excited for football this year. I'm trying to be excited for the Cardinals. I'm trying to be excited for our 2-0 start. Trying to be excited that Kyler Murray's not turning over the ball a lot, that, he's not making nearly as bad decisions. Seems like he's matured on the field a little bit, emotionally and as a player. And he might actually take those steps as a quarterback this year that we've been waiting the last 8 years for him to take. I can't believe he's been in the league. No, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It's been in the league for forever, it feels like at this point. But Kyler Murray posted a picture wearing a Michael Vick jersey with his pit bull. And yes, it is his pit bull. He does own a pit bull. And, you want to spin it. It's Virginia Tech Michael Vick, if that helps at all. But, you talk about a quarterback that you had to put a video game clause in his contract initially when you gave him a shit ton of money. And now PR's got to clean up Kyler Murray wearing a Michael Vick and posting a picture with a dog. And that worries me. That's just bro's not thinking. How did nobody in his circle be like, hey, Kyler, that's not a good idea. You do know what Michael Vick did, right? I know you're young, bro, but come on, we all know what Vick did. And so as a Cardinals fan, I feel bad about it, not happy about it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So hopefully the Cardinals taking on the 49ers this weekend and handle business. We might see Mac Jones. Purdy yet listed as questionable, so we'll see what happens there. But rough week for Cardinals. Other news coming out of the NFL. I'm a big fan of this one because this helps out a lot. We'll get into it. Rules coming, the NFL officials are always sent essentially a memo, a training guide for the week of hey, let's make sure we're looking out for this, yada, yada, yada. Memo said to the officials, all right, guys, we got to start calling this tush push tighter. We gotta start looking at these plays tight. We got to start not letting this stuff slide. We got to figure this out. And it's about damn time. It's about time because we're in week 2. We're going into week 3. And everyone's already guys, come on. I mean, we got commentators talking about it. We've got the rules analysts talking about it. Everyone's talking about it because it's all clear as day. You don't need to be a rules analyst to see, oh, no, all of them are offsides. All of them left early. All of them did and maybe that play's not as successful anymore. Maybe it's not. And so I think it's a good thing for football because, again, it's a quarterback sneak. It's a quarterback sneak with a quarterback that can squat 500 pounds and a running back that can squat 400 pounds and some of the biggest linemen in the league. Like you talk physics, it should work most of the time. Legally. Illegally, yeah, it'll probably work a little bit more. You know what I mean? And so it's just one of those simple things that it's like the NFL wants to shut up, talk about the tush push, have the officials call it tighter. That's literally everything. And like Noah and I talked about on Tuesday, it doesn't make any sense that refs haven't called any of this before. At the end of the day, it really doesn't, and refs especially, they get flag happy. They get to be the center of attention and all of that. Why aren't they calling that? Oh, you're right, Road Dog. My bad. 600 and 500. So that's 1,100 pounds behind probably another 1,200 pounds. No, that's disrespectful. Probably another 2,000 pounds, 3,000 pounds of O linemen and tight end because they go heavy set. I mean, yeah, physics speaking, like pretending I'm a physicist for a moment. That's a shit ton of weight going one way. And yeah, you can try to stop that with all the mass in the world, but you get those boys moving, you get those legs moving, you get them low. Whew, little man wins. And that's usually the case here. And so do I think the Eagles are going to stop doing it as much just because the officials decide they're going to call it? No, absolutely not. They're still going to run this every 3rd and short, 4th and short, 3rd and goal, 4th and goal. They can. They just got to, play within the rules. And I can't blame the Eagles for continuing to line up offsides, false starting. Officials haven't called it. They're not going to call it. I'm going to keep doing it. And that's essentially what happens. And I'm fine with it. That's good gamesmanship. But let's see if the officials actually have the balls to call it. Let's see if they actually have the balls to call it. So I hope so. I do really hope so. Other rumors coming in around the league. Brian Dable is rumored to be very hot on his seat as, they haven't looked too good and they got to start winning. Which I do think is, I think it's a little early. And I hope they're just rumors. I do think it's a little early with what's going on. For the sole reason that Russell Wilson's still playing football. I think the clock doesn't start on that seat being hot until Jackson Dart gets in there. Because it can't be just Dable. It's got to be the GM too. Because the GM's the one who let Saquon walk. You know what I mean? Let Saquon walk. You pay Jones. I mean, it doesn't make sense that his seat would be hot all of a sudden. Right now, if it was hot, it would probably have been hot last year with Danny Dimes, but they decided to cut him and they did a whole shebang. And now they got Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, and Jameis Winston on the bench. And honestly, if they were a good team, they would throw Jameis to the Bengals for a 5th round pick. And, and then so you got Jackson Dart behind there. You can pick up, one of these other guys off the streets if you need to. But we all know the plan eventually is to be, Dart taking over control, which is fine. And assumed that was the plan going into this. But how long are we going to wait? And that's the thing. They do have a little to wait. They're playing the Chiefs this week, Chargers the week after, at New Orleans. So maybe there. But wait, am I looking at the right team? Yes, I am. Sorry, Chiefs, Chargers, at New Orleans, home against Philly, at Denver, at Philly. They don't really, and then home against San Francisco after that second Philly game. They play Philly twice in 3 weeks. That is rough, bro. You want Jackson Dart exposed to that defense? I don't know about that. Then they get into, after San Fran, Chicago, Green Bay, the Lions. It's hard. There's not a great place to introduce Jackson Dart. Maybe you do it if you really want him to get some, a good feeling. You play him at Bears, but then you have Green Bay coming into town next, and then you're going up against the Lions. The Giants are in a tough position. They got to let Jackson Dart sink or float at some point. But when is that point going to come? When is that point? Because the other issue is Russell Wilson's thrown for like 600 yards already this season. Like, it's not a Russell Wilson issue. It seems to be a little bit of a defensive issue. And so maybe the DC seat is getting hot. I mean, I think I saw a report about that as well. But I don't know. I don't think Daboll's clock starts until Jackson Dart gets in there. But yeah, I mean, they're putting up points, and Russell Wilson's looked solid. Except Washington. They didn't put up a lot of points for Washington. But, I mean, 37 points against the Dallas defense that, wasn't supposed to be that bad after Micah Parsons left. And we see how they are here. So, but no, I want to go ahead and shift to the Thursday night game, Bills-Dolphins, as we did have some breaking news coming out per Ian Rappaport on the pregame show, on NFL Network, that regardless, essentially, win-lose tonight, win-lose this season, ownership has no interest in firing Mike McDaniel and his job being safe. And then they come out and put up 21 against the Bills, this team that is supposed to be headed to the Super Bowl, supposed to be a very strong team, one of the better defenses in the league. Tua looks somewhat competent, some nice short passes to Tyreek to get him rolling. And Devon Achane doing his thing. I mean, maybe were we overreacting with the Dolphins? I don't think so still. If I'll be honest, and one of the great things I heard today, and it just sums up everything, I think, with the Dolphins perfectly. I can't remember who said it, but they said, the Dolphins were able to get stops and put points on the board and everything, but everything looked so hard for them. Every completion, every stop, it looked so hard for them, and it shouldn't look that hard from a good team, And I was like, that is exactly what I've been trying to say. Good, not great, but it also just looks hard. It looks like a team full of rookies. It looks like a team that finds a nut that finds a squirrel every once in a while, or whatever that saying is. But that's just kind of what I'm getting there. Plus, it feels like there's still stuff going on behind the scenes. They don't have any interest in firing him now, but they're over. They're over going into week 8, week 9, week 10, week 11. Maybe you make a move there. I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of faith in the way this Dolphins team is looking. I mean, I should feel better about them because they put up a fight against the Chiefs and looked like they might come back. But, I mean, we all knew it wasn't going to happen. We all knew the Bills were going to come back and take care of business and everything. And just good playing on the back end. Dolphins scored too early, and they were able to just wind that clock down. So Bills looked fine, in my opinion. Again, Josh Allen can use anybody on the roster to get the ball to score a touchdown, which is awesome. He can run the ball, lower his shoulder, and he looks awesome doing it. I mean, he's MVP for a reason. Maybe he runs it, Mac. Maybe he doesn't. We'll find out. But so far, so good on his campaign to repeat. Love what this Giants team is doing. This Bills team is doing, and I think they're destined for great things this season. 31-21, the final score last night. Al Michaels didn't seem happy to be there. And I love Al Michaels, especially now with the Amazon and the Thursday games. It feels like he can be a lot looser because he's not on cable and he's on the streaming service. And so I do appreciate that out of Al Michaels. He's a dog, but it is what it is. But, yeah. Let me double check Twitter, making sure nothing else is popping up. Oh, Falcons release kicker Young Hoku. That sucks. He was really good for a long time, but just can't cut it anymore. Anything else? Oh, Shanahan, I know we talked about Purdy being limited in practice, but Kyle Shanahan saying highly unlikely Purdy will start Sunday. So look for Mac Daddy Jones to be taking the start. But yeah, that is all I got today on this Friday night. So, hey, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube and X. Y'all are the best. If you like what I'm cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help out a lot more than you know. But with all of that, I, of course, have been the Brofict one, AJ. Have an incredible rest of your Friday. Good luck. God bless. See you guys next time on Degenerate Takes.